Hello and welcome back to the channel. The manhwa we are going to recap today is about a girl who reincarnated as the baddie villainess who was sold off to the Duke. So let's begin with our recap. During the auction, someone declares that they are going to purchase the woman for 1 billion. The host looks around and asks if anyone else wishes to place a bid, but it seems like everyone here is broke. Finally, this woman is sold to the bidder for 1 billion. A breathtakingly handsome man throws off his cloak, strides up to the stage, and gently picks the young lady up in his arms, announcing that he will be taking her from here since she now belongs to him. The lady trembles, wondering if he's truly going to pay that much for her. The man only smiles at her and tells her to get some rest, as they will be leaving this place soon. She notices a gaze as cold as ice in his eyes. Now, she suddenly opens her eyes and sits up in the bed with a burst of panic. The butler arrives with a servant and mentions that it seems she has finally woken up. The floor beneath her clearly feels unfamiliar, and she is unable to understand what is happening. She jumps back, her entire body filled with hostility toward them. The butler assures her that she is all right and that she doesn't need to feel worried. She is in the residence of Archduke Scavidian, and no one here is going to hurt her. She asks them how long she has been there. The butler tells her that she has been asleep for 4 days, and they were afraid she might not wake up. She asks them to give her a piece of paper and a pen. The aide is confused by the request, but she insists on holding it herself. The aide flinches but eventually obeys her. She asks him to place it on the floor. The moment he does, she quickly grabs the paper and pen, her hands shaking terribly as she begins drawing. If this truly is the Scavidian Archduchy, then she needs to escape before they find out who she really is. She finishes the drawing despite her trembling, then clicks the edge of the window. The paper lights up, and the image she has drawn begins to sparkle. Using it, she leaps down from the manor and starts to run. She thinks, frantically, that she needs to draw something else to ride before they catch up to her, but, oh no, she bumps into someone. The man remarks that it seems like she's the magician. His glittering gold hair frames a face too cherished to belong to this world. His large, strong hands reveal that he is a swordsman. This man resembles the god who pulls the sun across the sky in a chariot. This man is Lucas de Scavidian. Lucas sighs, saying that this is quite unexpected. She realizes, with growing dread, that she is now completely screwed. Around 10 days ago, she had woken up inside this novel, inside an academy, only to find herself being dragged into an auction house. The book is set. Another man, standing nearby, reminds the leader to be careful after all. This box is really expensive, and even the Freon Prince will be attending the auction. They need to take it seriously, especially since the descendant of the sun will be present at these lustful events. The narrator reveals the sadness of the situation. It is a shame that they will have to sell this space. After all, women across the desert are usually considered hot property. And out of all the characters in this novel, she had to provoke the fourth villainess. It's unfair. The novel was quite popular, so she's sure there were thousands of readers. She herself stopped reading it halfway, specifically when she found out that her favorite character ended up as a corpse in prison. And now, she knows, she has to become her. Still, she thinks it's better to be the fourth villainess. The fourth villainess's name is Shay. She clung to the male lead. Unlike someone else, Shay was the character who despised the female lead all throughout. She was the one who, driven by envy, stole an artifact just as the female lead fell off the cliff. After that, she was imprisoned by the male lead, who had witnessed the entire scene. Eventually, she met her end. But the truth is, Shay was simply caught in the first villainess's trap. The fourth villainess, who received even the other villainess's contempt, was quietly pitiful. The reason for this contempt was her beauty. Indeed, Shay is ethereal. When she was reading the book, she thought it was quite old-fashioned. And while reading, she believed the description of Shay's beauty was greatly exaggerated. Now, looking at herself in the mirror, Shay thinks that she really is beautiful, almost exactly as described in the novel. She's glad to have such a pretty face. She's also genuinely talented in painting magic. So why the hell isn't she the female lead? If she were, things would have been a lot more fun. A maid from outside the room tells Shay that Lucas will be joining her for dinner. She opens the closet, remembering how the butler had told her that they had prepared some dresses for her. The Korean blood in her isn't used to talking the way these nobles speak. She's not sure what counts as noble and what doesn't here, but she doesn't think anyone is suspicious of her yet. After all, There's no signboard on her forehead. She heads to the dining room. Lucas looks at her and notes that it seems she has come down. He asks her to sit. Sitting, she thinks to herself that horses are still ridden here and swords are still wielded like it's the Middle Ages, yet they also have trains and airships. It's truly a messed up place. She notices a newspaper that says Lucas is dating a really beautiful woman. He casually says that it's just a collection of useless rumors and unconfirmed gossip. She watches as the aide places food in front of her, and her eyes widen. Lucas asks her to try the soup. She finds the food unbelievably tasty, perhaps the best meal she's had since arriving in this novel. Lucas tells her it's only proper that they introduce themselves. They both exchange names. He then asks how she got captured. She starts thinking about the backstory of the fourth villainess. Shay had a rare bloodline. She was a painting wizard from a small magical kingdom called Edmund. There were no limits to her power, as whatever she painted could become real. Naturally, many people wanted to possess such magicians. And if they were caught, it was a life worse than death. It was better to bite their tongue and die than be used. She sighs and tells him that they found out she was a painting wizard. Lucas immediately understands that this means she was hunted. She truly ran to the desert, but there were no pens or paper with her. He then asks if that means she has no home. She looks at him, heart beginning to race. This man is scaring her. She had planned to leave as soon as her body recovered, but he says that if she has no home, she can stay here until she feels better. Her eyes widen. This is the exact dialogue from the fourth villainess's past. He adds that once her body heals, if she's willing to testify against the criminals at the auction, he can send her wherever she wants. Shay thinks this is fine after all. She needs time to recover anyway. Lucas notes that this is good and then takes his leave. Since he was stalked his whole life, he seems to hate long conversations. Shay thinks she'd be disturbed too if someone kept staring at her face like that. The butler arrives, practically glowing. Shay asks him a question. What kind of job could make her a lot of money? The butler relays this question to Lucas, and also adds that she doesn't loiter around his bedchamber. She asks the butler what about short strands? The butler replies that he didn't see her picking up anything. No ulterior motive can be seen just yet, but she clearly seems more interested in money. Lucas begins to wonder if this is really the case. He thinks it might be better if she doesn't work directly for him. So, the butler suggests that they conduct a test, one that sends Lucas into deep thought. Now we see that little fairies are giving a bath to Shay, who is enjoying this a lot. She thinks that the butler have told her about selling luxury items and clothes to nobles. When it comes to earning money, this seems like the right way. It's no different from real life making money here in this book, and in reality feels the same. Launching a luxury clothing brand, she starts to think if there's a lazier way to work, because who wouldn't like having others do their job for them? At this rate, she can see that her adapting ability is less than 0.1%. Despite all these changes, yet, she still hasn't shed a single tear. Because of course she wouldn't. Now she can finally say goodbye to her fungus-covered ceiling. To end up here is honestly better than having to pay off debt in her real life after graduation. Not to mention, she can still make a lot of money here. She hears Lucas asking her from outside if there are any problems. She's like, what the hell is he doing here? But again, it has already been an hour, so it makes sense that he's here. She just needed to rinse her body, so she says to him that she'll be out in a while. But then the door opens. The kettle fairies open the door for Lucas. Their eyes meet. She shouts at him that she's sorry for flashing him, like, hey, what the hell, did she really just flash him? Nervously, he says to her that he didn't see anything and she can continue her precious bath. She starts to get angry at these cute little fairies. She is really fine. It's just how the hell is she supposed to face him now? Outside, Lucas, after seeing her body, thinks that she is really weak. On top of that, she has a lot of wounds from when she was captured. He thinks that it is odd for her not to have a maid while growing up somewhere so extravagant. He calls Maynard to give the sacred ointments to Shay and to add the bread in her meals, the kind used for weight gain. He tells them to add cheese and ham and anything that causes weight gain. He goes back to his room and gazes at the newspaper. Then he starts thinking about the erosive energy that makes women hesitate to approach him. But this time, he didn't feel uncomfortable. Our little guy gets shy, oh my god. He thinks that maybe he doesn't mind being with her. After all, she had such a flustered reaction after being naked in front of him. He wonders what if maybe the women from other kingdoms don't get affected by his golden bloodline? Or maybe she is just different. He honestly thought that she would throw herself at him. She is the last person he expects to react like that. If one truly wishes to subdue the great heat of the sun that flows within them, they must marry the woman who bears the power of the moon. That is the sole truth his ancestors found out. Marriage is the best option. But even just living together in the same house is enough to subdue his overwhelming condition. The problem is finding a suitable partner who would enter a contract marriage with him. Even if he began to be in an emotional relationship with someone, he doesn't think he would be able to reciprocate the same amount of feelings. The girl is to him like the gleam of dusk, twinkling as if born from a brilliant spark. He gets all flushed this is really off, because for some reason, he wishes that lady is Shay. Now Shay is trying her best to act cool, but heck she bumps into Maynard. He says to her that she can go in first and he will bring the stuff later. She's glad it seems like Lucas is not in the dining room. She is all excited to see what kind of sweets are waiting for her today. The whole thing is filled with such good desserts. There are so many macarons. But poor baby girl flinches when she hears Lucas's voice. Lucas is really here. But this girl doesn't care. There's something much prettier, and that is the steak. It feels to her like she must have died in her past life to be granted this joy. Lucas tells her to enjoy. She nods, thinking that she is definitely going to enjoy it a lot. She takes a bite and, oh my god, it is really delicious. It makes her wonder if vegetables were always this good. She picks to hold off the steak until she sees how Lucas eats his, but then she sees him leaning in, asking if she doesn't like meat. She says she does. Then he wishes to cut the meat for her. He cuts the meat for her, making her wonder, hey, did he just feed her? He says to her that she needs to eat meat to recover from her injuries, which makes her choke on her food. Because this bit makes it clear he really didn't see anything back in the bathroom. She says to him that it seems like even the evening newspapers are covering his love life, but this time there seems to be another woman. He says that no matter what he does, there's always a scandal hovering around him. She gets worried and asks if he tried talking directly with the papers. He gets a headache just thinking about it and says there's no use. She wonders why that is. He replies that the princess is behind all this. The princess is the biggest obstacle that prevents the main character from getting together with anyone, aka villainous number 2. She's powerful enough to become the future empress, and thanks to her sarcastic nature, she has a charming hobby of reducing attractive men to tears. At some point, it has become a family habit for Lucas to see what kind of nonsense they've printed about him this time. She questions if he checks to see what the women's magazines are saying. He tells her he doesn't even look at those things. After all, there's no stopping the women who cling to him whenever he goes out. They even get the guts to bribe his aides. That's why he only keeps Maynard and Theo the butler around. He is all angry that even if he stays in the Knights' barracks, they still lock in on him while he's taking a bath. And even though they're told it's dangerous, they come running to him and faint. So finally, he puts the proposal before her. She asks him what it is. He says to her, let's get married. The girl literally can't understand what she just heard. She is stunned. Where did this marriage thing even come from? He begs her to be his wife, just for 3 years. She says to him that it seems like she didn't hear him correctly if he's really asking her to be his wife. To be more precise, he says that he would like to get engaged to her, then married. He says that she won't have to worry about assassins coming after her anymore because she's the artist mage. He tells her to think of it as him offering the biggest bribe to the one who's going to marry him. She can have all he's got and even take the prince's land. He won't say a thing. She asks him why it's her. Why does he trust her? He's like, ma'am, slow down. She's being paranoid now. She says to him why wouldn't she be? After all, she doesn't trust him at all. So why is he trusting her enough to even say these things? He smirks that she's quite straightforward. She doubts that. He finally says he went to the auction to wipe out the debt there. But the moment he saw her, something lit up in his mind. Even though she was drugged, she was looking at those men like she could tear them apart. She doubts that. He thinks she's capable of great wickedness, and seeing how casually she acts with him, he's sure that not even the princess will be able to intimidate her. Shay thinks that since she needs to spend her life here, this may actually sound like a good idea. After all, she's going to live a really relaxing life here. And it'll take about a year for the real male lead to show up. So she's got lots of time till then to just be clear. He says that he doesn't even like marriage at all. But somehow, they're going to be a devoted couple. She can walk away with anything she wants under his name and treat anyone how she likes. She scoffs that sounds more like one way to get herself executed. He assures her that she'll get his full protection. He only wishes to ask one thing from her, that she becomes the most vile and extravagant woman in the entire empire. Make it so that no one ever dares to approach him again. So he is actually calling a wolf to keep the dogs at bay. She asks him about her fee. He says that it will be 10 billion gots. She starts calculating that if 1 got is $9, then that is whopping money. And more than that, the expense of living here is cheaper than in Korea. She really can't argue with this. She gets all excited and bows to him that he is a valued customer. And his wish is her command. So she will definitely become the most horrible woman in the country. He tells her that he's really going to do it. He's going to test her answer. She nods confidently, saying that still, she would prefer to get paid in advance. He can see clearly now that this girl is absolutely shameless. Shay had been extremely worried about getting a job in this world. But now, with this much money on the line, everything seems solvable for now. She decides to sign the contract and get paid. When the female lead arrives, she'll vanish, slam the deal, give it a try. She even comments that she'll pull out a show that will scare the hell out of the women. But for that, she's got 2 conditions. He gulps and asks what those conditions are. The first, no matter what happens, he has to take her side. The second, if he meets someone new, he must let her know so she can walk away peacefully. The girl really doesn't want to die. He assures her that he can do it all, as long as it doesn't interrupt his daily life. She is now bubbling with excitement to give it a try, fired up and ready to beat up anyone who dares to approach him. She's wide-eyed, already counting how many people she might have to deal with. Meanwhile, she's amazed by how much she's going to get from this contract. She realizes he must have drafted it all while she was asleep. Looking at the name she's going to use, Tiana, she agrees it suits her perfectly. The name has a fairy-like quality to it. He tells her that she'll be pretending to be the poor daughter of a viscount from the countryside, someone who came to the capital to work as a maid but got captured. She thinks it sounds like a real Cinderella story. He, of course, has no clue what she's talking about. She's genuinely excited to do business with him. They're about to shake hands when suddenly, they hear something. A noise. He leaps onto the table, and they both fall to the ground. She realizes it's a sneak attack. He signals her to be quiet, they're still outside. He covers her mouth and then gets up, thinking the assailants might have gone. But they had shot tranquilizers and poison darts. She can't believe it. They were aiming at her face. The only person who would go this far is villainess number 1. She starts thinking that now is not the time to panic. She grabs the ink and the pen and asks her valued customer Lucas to lend her his back and to take off his coat. She starts drawing on the back of his shirt. She asks him if they're still outside. He says he guesses so. Then she orders him to take off his shirt. She's furious at these people. She prays, then throws the shirt at them, making them flee for their lives. He asks what on earth she even drew. But that's her trade secret. After all, who's going to explain to him that she drew a flaming arrow aimed at their guts? Anyway, she reminds him, don't forget her 10 billion. She says there's no room to write the full title. But she wonders what should she call him? If not others, then maybe something cuter. She thinks of several names. Honey, sweetheart, baby. He can pick one. But he's like, what, ma'am? She plops on the bed. No matter how nasty these villainesses are, she's going to show them all who the real boss is. After all, there's no way she's turning down that $10 billion contract. Even if it might put her life in danger, it doesn't scare her one bit. She still has no intention of running away. She plans to write down her thoughts so she'll know exactly what to do next. Villainess number 1. Siona, the daughter of a duke. Villainess number 2. Dials, the princess. Villainess number 3. Macy, the daughter of a count. Number 3 also happens to be the president of the Lucas fan club. Since she doesn't remember much about her, she figures she must have gone around picking petty fights in the novel. The biggest problem is number 1. She has no principles and no limit to what she's capable of. She wouldn't hesitate to kill someone on a whim. One mistake in this world, and Shay could kiss her life goodbye. All that's left now is to take on villainess number 2, Dials. Oh god, she's freaking hot. We see Lucas thinking, can he really let her call him honey or baby? Then he wonders if he's actually thinking about Shay right now. But the answer is obvious. He knows he is. He also knows that he suffered all these injuries because of her. And somehow, it feels like she's truly caught his attention. After a moment of reflection, Lucas thinks that she's an odd woman. Then he questions if he's referring to her personality. Perhaps. It seems like her nerves are made of steel. He thinks that might actually be a good thing. Theo wishes Lucas would get some rest. Lucas then asks if Theo thinks Shay will back out. Theo says no and adds that he doesn't think she'll die either. Lucas sighs, hoping that's true. After all, he does think she's got some insane luck on her side. He felt at the moment he laid eyes on her, though he still doesn't know how to explain the look in her eyes. The glint in them was faint, but the sensation it gave off was unexplainable. It was something unique. He can tell he's going to get really busy soon. The next day, we see Shay shouting at Lucas to wake up. Lucas opens the door and calmly tells her he's already awake. She says that, in that case, they should go out. She's got some shopping to do. She really can't get over how attractive this man is. He says that actually, he was about to invite some merchants to the manor. She shuts that down immediately, saying no, they're going shopping. After all, he needs to show her off and let people know that she's his. He bluntly says no. She questions why. He replies that it's dangerous. After all, they were just attacked recently. She reaches for her arm, coughs dramatically, and says that she's already prepared something to protect herself. She asks him to take a look at the drawing she tucked into her bodice. Then she lifts her skirt just enough to show him something tucked near her ankle. He turns his face away, saying such detailed explanations aren't necessary, but her point is clear. He doesn't have to worry about her. Besides, her clothes are really uncomfortable. They should go shopping. Getting into the crappy carriage, she tells him that she knows he doesn't like women, but still, he needs to act. He just has to follow her lead. This is a good start to getting attention. The most important thing is making people gaze at her instead of him. She hopes that this will help him feel a little more comfortable. He tells her that they've already arrived and there's an art supply store nearby. The art supply store looks really pretty. She can't believe it, but it seems she'll be able to get such high-quality stuff using someone else's money. This is the look of a former art student. Lucas reaches for her hand to help her out of the carriage. He really feels different when he's acting like this. There are a lot of people looking at them too. This is the time for her first act. She focuses all her attention on him. They even share a really cutesy moment, but the way he answers with short words makes it obvious he really doesn't like women. The back of her head starts to sting. She might actually end up getting murdered. But then again, that's the price of standing beside superstar Lucas. Lucas finds her incredible. He knows she isn't the type to worry about others, but she's surprisingly caring. She doesn't seem bothered at all, but the way she adjusts her actions and words, he can tell she must be from a noble family. He asks if she really wants the paintbrush too. She answers that of course she does. After all, getting them all in a bunch is the best deal. He tells her she can get anything. He thinks that she's really short too, and to him, her wrists look slender yet strong. It must be a really good sight to watch her paint. She calls out to Lucas, oh no, they're standing really close, which makes both of them flustered. Lucas wonder how can she handle this situation. She can practically feel an assassination attempt brewing in the shadows. But if she's really going to die, then why not give them all a good show? She grabs him and kisses him. Oh my god. This guy is going to die at this rate. Poor Lucas is truly done for, he's completely flustered. Even the ladies nearby are staring in disbelief, wondering what just happened. Their eyes have seen plenty, but to say this moment wasn't fun would be a lie. She squeezes his arm and admits with a chuckle that she acted without thinking much. Lucas, now trying to regain some composure, turns to the counter to ring them up for all the things they've picked. Meanwhile, the girl is still wondering if their little scene will be enough to make it into the local newspaper. She's clearly still seeing this moment as an opportunity for profit. They take their leave, but now the ladies in the shop are staring even harder. Inside the carriage, she hands Lucas a cloth to wipe his face. She casually questions why he isn't wiping his mouth after eating, but when he turns the question on her, wondering why she doesn't do it for him, she just thinks to herself, what would she even say to that? After all, she has no complaints about kissing a hot guy. They are now off to their next destination. While deliberately avoiding the most glamorous boutique in the city, the infamous No. 1 shop, Known for its outrageously priced dresses, she leads them to a lesser-known boutique that's nearly been driven out of business by bigger names. In the original novel, the female lead stumbles upon this exact place, but she intends to claim it first. And now, here they are. Lucas tells the woman at the counter that they would like to see dresses that would suit his stunning fiancée. He admits he doesn't know much about fashion, which is why he brought her here so she can pick something herself. Money is no issue for him. The shop staff, energized by his sincerity and status, all enthusiastically promise to do their absolute best to make her look like the most beautiful woman in the world. Now that Lucas has brought her to this boutique, he knows everyone here will be talking about them. As for the dresses themselves, she couldn't care less about the designs. With her face, she knows she would look beautiful in anything. She tells them she's going to take the entire set of dresses back to the manor. Later, we see that she's fallen asleep on the sofa after all the exhausting shopping. Lucas tells her to lie down if she's tired, but she's already dozed off. Maynard offers to carry her to her room. Lucas stops him, saying it's alright, she might wake up, and so he will be the one to take her there. After Maynard takes his leave, Lucas stares at her sleeping face and quietly wonders where she could have come from. While she rests, he secretly orders an investigation into her past. But despite their efforts, no one is able to find anything about her. All they know is that she was caught in the desert, traveling in an attempt to escape something, but everything about her life before then is a complete mystery. Lucas has never even heard of a stray art wizard wandering the land without a home. He looks down at her and finds her quietly remarkable, sleeping so peacefully. He orders high-quality food to be prepared for her and has a room set up for painting with all her art supplies. He even arranges for the walls to be covered with the family's collected art pieces so she feels comfortable. And still, he doesn't feel terrible or conflicted being near her like this. Gently, he touches her lips, remembering the sudden kiss, how she had pulled him in so abruptly that it felt like their lips had slammed together, leaving him stunned. But now, he's confused by the thought that he wants to do it again. The next day, a little boy is out selling newspapers in town, and the headline is all about Lucas and Shay. The whole town is talking about them now. Meanwhile, Maya enters the city. Upon seeing his face, the boy becomes terrified, but the good man simply tells him not to worry, he just wants to buy the newspaper. Maya reads the article and immediately recognizes that the woman mentioned is indeed Shay. He grits his teeth at the realization. After following the slavers all the way here, he didn't expect to see her rumored as the fiancée of an archduke. He wonders if it was this very archduke who brought her here. Kissing the newspaper with her picture on it, he mutters under his breath that it won't be long he will come for her, no matter what. And seriously, who are all these people, and why are they all so ridiculously hot? Now, we see someone questioning the princess, asking if she's truly going to let this situation slide just like that. The voices around her grow louder, one after another refusing to accept Shay as Lucas's fiancée. Someone else chimes in, demanding to know how the imperial family could have even agreed to such a thing when they know absolutely nothing about this woman's background. Even the princess herself finally says she cannot accept this either. And she means it. Though she keeps her composure, she's feeling truly bitter inside. She can't believe that such a remarkable man is actually courting someone. She declares that she's going to hold a secret gathering soon, and naturally, she'll be calling the rest of the members of Lucas's unofficial fan club. Meanwhile, Shay has been staying at the manor for at least a week now. During this time, she has already survived 3 assassination attempts. One attack in the middle of the night, one involving 2 homemade bombs while she was simply out taking a walk, and even iron filings found in her new skincare jar. At least she can still trust her food. She mentions to Lucas that rumors about them must be flooding the capital by now, and thinks to herself that it's probably time for another outing. Lucas tells her he knows a really good place they could go, though he warns her that it might be dangerous. But the girl just shrugs it off at this point. Even lying in bed is dangerous for her. Lucas then tells her that the place is the palace. More specifically, the elite night training grounds. This immediately turns her to stone. She thinks this actually does sound dangerous, almost like Lucas is planning to introduce her to the Imperial Knights. Still, she tells him that they should go. Lucas, concerned, asks her if she's really sure about this, but she insists after all, she has someone she needs to meet there. All she has to do is prepare herself properly. The mission to protect her life is still ongoing. After all, That someone is Dame, one of the strongest knights under Lucas's command. Her most remarkable trait is her blind loyalty to the female lead. Shay knows she can't just remain idle. She needs Dame on her side, because once she is, everything will fall into place. Shay doesn't want to make Dame her enemy after all. She can be a real headache. But once they meet, Dame becomes completely infatuated with Shay. Their first meeting is supposed to take place at a later event, but Shay plans to claim this victory early. Dame, for all her loyalty, also has a soft spot for cute things. Though Shay is undeniably pretty, she's a bit tall for Dame's typical preferences, but that won't matter. She won't know for sure until they meet. And now, it's time. Lucas tells Shay that an unofficial tournament is going to be held among the knights. She asks if civilians can attend. He tells her no, not normally, but she isn't just anyone. She's an evil woman obsessed with him. After all, only she is allowed. They finally arrive. The training ground is massive, fitting for the Imperial Knights. As Lucas enters, the knights immediately notice his presence and salute. One of them notices Shay at his side, and Lucas introduces her as his fiancée. The knights react with a stunned pause, then sudden shock, like they've been hit with a surprise attack. Lucas questions their expressions, asking why they're reacting that way, and reminds them to not be rude in front of a guest. The knights quickly regain their senses and bow again, asking for forgiveness. Shay holds onto Lucas a little tighter and calmly assures him he doesn't need to worry. Everyone reacts the same way. After all, she apologizes for following him so stubbornly and tells the knights that she hopes she won't get in their way, she's only here to watch. The knights all flush at the sight of her beauty and quickly reassure her that she won't be in the way at all. Then, Dame steps forward. She says, with a cold air, that love isn't meant for spectators, and requests Lucas to send Shay away immediately, as her presence is a violation of their internal rules. Shay, taken aback, finds Dame really beautiful. She wonders how someone as cold as ice ended up falling for the female lead. But then she shakes herself. This isn't the time to simp over Dame. She begins her act, pretending she didn't realize that her visit would be a nuisance, but says she truly couldn't bear the thought of leaving Lucas's side. The knights are visibly moved and tell her she doesn't have to go. One of them turns to Dame, reminding her that though rules are rules, this is Lucas's fiancée they're meeting for the first time. They assure her Shay can stay, and one even promises to find her a proper seat. Shay thanks them, but as Dame passes by, she mutters something under her breath, mocking Shay for knowing exactly how to keep Lucas in the palm of her hand. Shay silently sighs, knowing that now she can probably kiss her Operation Stay Alive goodbye. Next in line to fight is a match between Dame and Sir Oman, one of the most awaited bouts in the tournament. One of the best moments in the novel unfolds now, when Dame cuts down all her opponents with decisive, clean strikes. By the end, her feet are covered in dust and dirt, yet she walks with an air of undeniable triumph. She approaches the female lead, who stands at the edge of the arena with tears in her eyes, and declares that she devotes all these victories to her. The girl wonders to herself if her guess is right. Only the top 30 knights under Lucas are allowed to participate in this competition. That leads her to question what Dame's current rank could be. Lucas, standing beside her, casually informs her that Dame is ranked 31 out of 50. She blinks, thinking that Dame must be aiming to rank up into the top 30 soon. But Lucas begins to grow suspicious. How does she even know that? It's not like she's ever seen Dame fight before. She brushes it off quickly, murmuring that things are just too loud out here. Then, as the match begins, the sheer volume of it catches her off guard. It is far more intense than she imagined, like someone has been smashing cymbals beside her ears for a full hour. She flinches at the noise. Lucas gazes at her and leans in to speak. He points out a fellow standing by the rack of practice swords, the princess's spy. But they can't act openly against him. He's not even trying to be discreet, standing right there in full view. Lucas asks her to make a sketch, just in case it's needed later. They aren't even safe from spies within the knight's order. It's truly too loud in here. She thinks again, and quietly decides that next time she comes, she's going to wear the strongest earplugs she can find. For now, Lucas covers her ears with his hands. His palms are large enough to shield her entirely from the clamor, and she's momentarily stunned by the gesture. He calmly says he thinks the match is almost over. She feels flustered but grateful. Then she asks him if she can pick a knight to cheer for. He tells her that she can after all. It's common for noble ladies in novels to do so. She nods and decides to go for it. But once she starts cheering for Dame, she realizes it's incredibly awkward. Even Dame gets visibly thrown off by the attention. The girl grows embarrassed, looking devastated as she tries to apologize and explain that she didn't mean to make Dame uncomfortable. Lucas sighs and remarks, half amused, that one never really knows what to expect from her. She realizes it's not meant to be a compliment, and from the look on Dame's face, she suspects Dame might actually hate it. Then Lucas tries to reassure her gently, saying it's alright, she just gets embarrassed too easily. Even Owen chuckles and teases Dame that it must feel good to have someone cheering for her. At that, Dame leaps forward and throws Owen's sword aside, securing another win. Lucas promptly calls for the rankings to be updated. The girl asks him what kind of technique Dame used to generate that burst of wind. Lucas replies that it's less about technique and more of a kind of power that emerges once a person reaches a certain level. She lights up at this explanation, excitedly asking whether Lucas's own sword has this kind of upgrade too. He confirms that it does. She looks toward the arena again and sees Dame now standing in front of Lucas, requesting a duel with him. Lucas accepts. The two of them begin a duel that immediately draws everyone's attention. The tension is high, but Shay is thoroughly enjoying herself watching the fight unfold. A knight comes over to offer her a drink, but she waves it away. She's too focused on the match. Watching Lucas fight in person makes her understand why he's known as the madman on the battlefield. His movements are intense, precise, and impossibly fast. He looks like he's enjoying himself. He's so perfect in his form that it seems impossible to even land a hit on him. She thinks to herself that Dials must be just as incredible if he once fought on par with Lucas. Then she notices something. The spy is no longer there. She's relieved to find nothing was in her drink, but the fact that no one is around her now makes her uneasy. It's the perfect setup for someone to attack her, and just as expected, an arrow comes flying toward her. But she reacts in time. She draws, casting her magic, and in the same moment, a sparrow appears and intercepts the arrow. There's so much dust and motion around the arena that no one even notices her using magic. When the dust settles and she turns to look around, the dueling ground is empty. Dame standing beside her now, saying this is why she told her to leave earlier. She quickly asks where Lucas went. Dame explains that he went after the fool who dared to launch an attack on someone during the match. The girl laughs it off bitterly, saying that it really seems like people hate her a lot. She's lost count of how many times she's been attacked by now. But setting that aside, Dame now has a question of her own. She wants to know what kind of bird is sitting beside her. She tells Dame that the bird beside her is her guardian, one she purchased in a back alley. If it weren't for this bro, as she affectionately calls him, she would probably be dead by now. Dame, clearly concerned, asks if she's used to this kind of situation. That's when Shay launches into an Oscar-worthy performance, acting like she doesn't even know what to say. She pretends to be flustered, saying she hasn't been in the capital for that long. Despite not having harmed anyone, it feels like everyone here hates her. Dame gives her a firm look and says that if her life is truly in this much danger, she should contact the king and speak about the matter directly. Shay sniffles, apologizing for revealing this vulnerable side of herself. Her eyes get misty as she explains that she hasn't even gone to a cafe or an art exhibition, thinking it would be better not to interact with people. When she forces a cute smile through her tears, it makes Dame visibly flinch. Just then, Lucas approaches. Shay immediately jumps toward him in an adorably clingy manner, asking what took him so long. She says she was really scared without him. While clinging to him, she whispers what happened, that it was an assassination attempt. Lucas confirms it, saying that, from what he could tell, it was indeed an assassin's attack. She quickly asks if he managed to catch the culprit. Lucas tells her the trail leads to the greenhouse, specifically the one in the Noble District. Shay's expression changes at the name. The greenhouse is the place where the villainess's one used to scheme without ever being caught. Lucas asks her if she knows anything else. She tells him that the spy had been standing right there, but now he's gone. She figures Lucas can handle the spy issue for now. As for her, she's quite satisfied that she may have successfully won Dame over to her side. Suddenly, she chokes on her own breath and calls out to the Order's members for water. According to them, Shay is a deeply mysterious figure, yet once someone falls for her, they can't seem to help themselves. Theo stands by, sighing that maybe it's fine. since Lucas already deals with so much. But he wonders aloud whether all this isn't a bit too much for even him to handle. Just then, Maynard arrives and hands her a letter. She's confused, wondering if this letter is really meant for her. Theo suggests she open it. Theo removes the seal for her, and it turns out to be a formal invitation. She's been invited to Diol's tea party. Everyone grows anxious, wondering if she'll attend. Shay firmly says that of course she will. After all, she needs to get a proper look at the woman who dares give poor Lucas such a hard time. Theo lights up with joy, saying he knew they could count on her. Shay immediately sends Maynard to the boutique, asking him to bring every finished dress they've completed so far, though she knows it'll be hard to choose. At least they can send all of them. Finally, with Maynard away, Shay is able to focus. She wants to complete drawing the maid who will save her. Soon after, the boutique workers arrive and ask if she's really planning to attend Diol's tea party. She tells them to sit down and begins laying out the rules. First, no stealing Lucas's underwear. The workers freeze. Then, as realization hits, they exclaim, "What did she just say?" Shay continues seriously. Second, no stealing Lucas's hair strands to sell. Third, what happens in the manor stays in the manor. The workers nod solemnly. Then she adds another rule. No falling in love with him, chasing him, or acting out a love triangle. She asks if they think they can manage that. The workers exchange glances and mutter that honestly, it really does seem like she's in love with Lucas. Even Shay is caught off guard, wondering if she's coming off too strongly. She hands them contracts to sign. The workers notice there are also cats involved and ask about them. Shay explains that they are magical cats. If anyone breaks a clause in the contract, the cats will turn hostile and bite them right where it hurts. Maynard arrives with refreshments. Shay tells everyone that if they want anything to eat, they just need to ask Maynard and he'll get it for them. The workers ask if they can really request anything. She casually tells them she's quite rich, and at that, they all start praising her. Now that Shay thinks about it, it seems there have been fewer attacks on her lately, which is honestly a huge relief. Things are starting to look up. Elsewhere, someone is seen knocked out cold by a mysterious figure. It's the hooded man, muttering to himself, asking if she doesn't want him anymore. No, wait. Lucas is handsome and all, but he really needs to watch out. His opponent isn't just anyone. Now we see that Lucas has returned. He asks Theo where Shay is, and Theo tells him she's with some guests. The workers are all visibly charmed, gushing over everything Shay wears. The atmosphere is light and full of admiration. Theo adds that the workers from the boutique have come over. Lucas questions why they are here. Theo explains that Shay received an invitation from the Diols, who are known to ensure their guests are treated with the utmost care. Then Theo mentions something odd. Maynard said he spotted a suspicious man earlier in the day. While driving out in the carriage, he saw a strange man with tan skin near the estate. Hearing this, Lucas immediately asks whether it could be that desert warrior. They aren't certain, but they did notice a tattoo on the man's face. Lucas begins to wonder why someone from the desert would come to the capital. Theo isn't sure either and asks if they should take action. Given the man's unusual appearance, he could easily attract attention. Lucas is certain that the man must have some connection to Shay. The thought lingers in his mind while Shay, elsewhere, is taking a bath. She reflects silently on the desert, a place that gave her both her first and last suffering. She still remembers that eerie feeling. How everyone, aside from one man, was swept into ruin. His eyes were like ice. She recalls how he looked at Lucas with that same cold stare, as if he was ready to kill him out of sheer boredom. It had been obvious that he could have done it too. But she tells herself there's no way it could be the same person now. Perhaps she's just overreacting.